Hi guys, and welcome to another Surface RT video, this time using the shaky cam, so I had to use the left hand to use my thumbs up today. And what I'm going to do is a quick look aesthetically between the Surface RT and the iPad 3. The first thing I'm going to look at is the thickness of the two tablets. On paper they are supposed to be exactly the same, which is 0.37 inches, and if we have a look from a completely horizontal view, you should see that they are pretty much identical. There may just be a slight win there for the iPad, but the glass coming from the top probably means that they're identical. Now that's on paper and when I put the camera in this position. However, when you're just generally carrying the tablets around, the iPad seems to look noticeably thinner, and the reason is, I think, this is a personal opinion, is that the curved edges are a bit of an optical illusion when you're looking at tablets. When they're curved and it's a consistent smooth run, it does seem to look thinner than the Surface RT, which is a lot more angled and just seems to have this thick piece of black plasticky metal mag, vapor lock, whatever material it is, but that just looks so much thicker than if you look at it from an iPad. But the weird thing is that on paper there is no difference, but it's these curved edges which really deceive you when you're looking at the thickness. So in terms of styling, the iPad sort of wins out in that look, that it makes itself look thinner than it actually is. Now, in terms of the dimensions, I'm not going to give you the numbers on this. I'm just going to show you the difference between the two when they're in portrait mode. Which do you think is better? For me personally, I think the iPad is far superior when it's in portrait mode because it's actually usable. If I lift this up to the screen, you can see that you can read the text there, and I don't think there would be any problem navigating to a page and reading the article. I mean, it's still not ideal. I would still prefer it in portrait mode, but I could live with this if I wanted to for some reason, because it looks more like a magazine. It's kind of an A4 size. If we look at the Surface RT, it looks more like a leaflet or a pamphlet, and it's just too thin really to be used in this form. And if I hold the tablet down here, there's too much weight on this bottom end, so it feels a little bit top heavy. And if you look at the text is very small and almost unreadable, I would say. Well, not unreadable, but it's just very, very ugly, and this is not helped by obviously the resolution, which is far inferior on the Surface RT compared to the iPad. So again, it is a win in terms of the aesthetics for the iPad, but I would say that the iPad beats many tablets when it comes to this kind of A4 paper size tablet, rather than the widescreen ones that many other tablets seem to adopt. Obviously, it does look nicer in this landscape mode, especially for watching films and television, but it doesn't quite work, or in my opinion, I'd say it's unusable when a tablet is in this format. So if we look at weight distribution, the Surface RT is marginally heavier than the iPad. However, when I hold the iPad, it does actually feel quite weighty in my hands. And I think it's the weight distribution of the iPad, which I think is quite centred in the middle. It does feel quite heavy to hold in either landscape or portrait mode. Now, if I move on to the Surface RT, again, I'm going to say that holding it in portrait mode is a waste of time anyway, because I don't think the tablet's designed to be used in that way, again, in my opinion. If I hold it in landscape mode, it actually feels lighter. Now, that may sound strange, but I think it's the weight distribution is better suited to the way this tablet is held. Now, whether that means that more weight is distributed to the side, so your fingers are offering more support when you hold it, or it's just some other type of witchcraft which is making this weight feel a lot nicer. But I will actually say that for longer periods of time, the Surface RT might be better to hold, and of course it is helped with the kickstand if you wanted to put it into the kickstand mode, so we can't forget about the extra feature which the iPad without any additionals doesn't have. So I would say that the Surface wins that hands down in terms of weight distribution and the ability to not have to hold it if you don't want to. Now, if we add some accessories, then we can see some significant changes as well. We have a smart cover on the iPad and a touch cover on the Surface RT. Obviously, if we open up the iPad, it's very responsive when you open it up, unlocks very quickly. But of course, there is no keyboard on this, so it is just more a protective case, and it does add significant thickness to the tablet itself. I mean, now it looks like a bit of a fat, chunky tablet, as opposed to the rather streamlined one that we saw previously. Now, with the Surface RT, you will notice that if I open up the keyboard, it takes slightly longer to unlock, which is a bit of an issue. But of course we have the touch cover keyboard, so it now turns itself into almost a fully fledged tablet if I wanted to do that, and then I could start typing stuff in if I wanted to, and that's the great benefit. Obviously the great detraction from this is that this touch cover is very, very expensive. It's £80, $80. It's more than twice as expensive as the iPad smart cover that we were looking at previously. However, if we look at the thickness, it adds barely any thickness to the device, and you don't even notice it. So it's an excellent addition if you can afford it and if you want to. And I'll just bring in the iPad just to finish off this review, and we should be able to see the difference in the thickness if I can get my camera angles right. It's not scientific there, but you will see that the iPad is a little bit fatter, and it's very noticeable in the design, the way that this wraps around the entire device, whereas the touch cover just wraps around the top. It does make the Surface RT look significantly thinner, in the same way that the iPad looks significantly thinner with the curved edges. So there's a quick aesthetic demonstration between the two. The Surface RT does win in some aspects, however I think the iPad wins in some more important aspects, in particular the shape of the iPad, and I think that's the thing that you would obviously use most, because it means you can use the iPad in different ways. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon in another Surface RT video. And if you are wondering, yes, these are my pyjama bottoms, and yes, this is my dressing gown.